Hi, my name is Jami Gigot, and I am an author and illustrator of children's picture books. Today I'm going to be reading to you from my book called Starboy, and I'll also be doing a little bit of an art demo at the end of the reading. This book was inspired by a very famous musician named David Bowie. He was an amazing musician and actor and performer. This is a picture of him back here on the wall. And I think what David Bowie represented to a lot of people was really being true to yourself, celebrating your differences. And I hope that that's the message that comes through in this book. For the artwork, I did a lot of different types of work. I did a mixture of sort of watercolor combined with digital art. So you'll see here, this is one of the opening pages. I've darkened it down and added a bunch of stars and things like this. The swirls that you see on the cover were painted with watercolor. And then I did a lot of these galaxy paintings, which were super fun to make. And I used these as different textures throughout the book. So at the end of the reading, I'm going to show you a quick demo on how I made these. And I hope that you get a chance to join me and make your own galaxy painting. But first, we'll read the book. Starboy, inspired by the life and lyrics of David Bowie. Written and illustrated by me and published by Henry Holt & Company and distributed by Macmillan Press. From a little room in a small brick house on a quiet London street, David stared up at the starry sky. "Is anybody out there?" he whispered. For as long as David could remember, he felt like a stranger on his own planet, as if he'd fallen to Earth from outer space. He had mismatched eyes, long, spindly legs made for dancing, and sticky out ears with a special knack for catching noises no one else seemed to hear. So special that when he listened closely, he could detect a faint cosmic murmur, a chattering of stars. When David heard this star chatter, his entire body would vibrate with far-out energy. His eyes would flash, his legs would shimmy shake, and all 10 toes would tip-tap. As David danced, he felt connected to the universe and the rhythm of the stars. If only he could share this feeling with someone else. And you'll see here, these are some of the different personas. When David Bowie performed, he wore a lot of different costumes, and he liked to create these different personas on stage. These are some of the characters that he had created. At school, David could not sit still. He tip-tapped down the halls and shimmy-shaked in class. He added a flash of color wherever he went and let his imagination run wild. He's drawing a galaxy painting there with chalk. But some of the kids didn't feel the same rhythm. They thought David was strange. "What planet are you from?" they asked, laughing. "I wish I knew," thought David. He trudged back into class, falling in line with everyone else. That night, alone in his room, David's body began to hum with rhythm again. A spark began to flicker inside him. But he was tired, lonely, so David shut the window. He let the spark fade out. He couldn't hear the stars chattering anymore. But something didn't feel right. It was quiet, too quiet. Then a hum started, a soft, whispering tone. Suddenly, there was a crackle, a sparkle. The radio on David's windowsill burst to life. Music flooded David's room. It was extraordinary. With the rhythm of the stars, joy tickled through him in waves. The star chatter would never leave him. It was a part of him. I hear you, he shouted happily. I hear you. David felt like himself again. The rhythm rolled through David like electricity. He rushed around the house, gathering whatever he could find to keep the music going. An old pot, a pair of spoons, a tin can. He tapped a wooden crate and tied a string to a broomstick and plucked. Yes, that was it. By the light of the moon, he rocked to the beat of the stars. And remember how I told you he liked costumes? This was a very famous outfit that David Bowie wore on stage. In the morning, he raced to school. He couldn't wait to share his discovery. You see, he's got his bag of all his instruments, and he's starting to see star chatter and music everywhere. Even in daylight, David felt the rhythm of the stars humming inside him. He plucked out the cords, blared the horn, and banged to the beat. His eyes flashed, his toes tip-tapped, and his hips shimmy-shaked. As the star chatter hummed loudly, his imagination ran wild. He was a pirate, a duke, an astronaut, a goblin king. Commotion and color swirled around him, rhythms and riffs like the hearts of stars, beating loudly, began to spread. When David opened his eyes, everyone was tip-tapping and shimmy-shaking to the rhythm. The star energy was moving them too. David smiled. The spark inside him radiated like a shining star. Thank you so much for listening to Starboy. At the end of the book, I have a note just all about David Bowie's life, about how he got his start as a musician, some interesting things about his life. And I also have a bunch of little fun facts that you can find out, some really interesting things like how he got his mismatched eyes, and some other fun, interesting facts about David Bowie. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for listening to Starboy. I'm going to show you a short art demo on how I made those galaxy paintings now, so stay tuned. I'll be right back. Okay, so as I mentioned before, I'm going to show you how to make those kind of fun galaxy paintings. You need a few things. Watercolor paper. I have this taped down just so that the edges don't curl up. I have some clean water. I've got some watercolors, and I've got a brush. It can just be a rather large brush. It can even be bigger than this if you want. And I have a blow dryer to make this process go a little bit faster. So let's begin. At first, I start with just wetting the entire page. Just get it really wet. And then as soon as the page is completely wet, we're just going to start dropping in bits of color. Okay, so pick some galaxy colors, blues, purples, maybe a bit of pink. You could even put in some green if you want to give it more of a kind of Northern Lights type of feel. And just let the paints sort of blend together and do their thing. And you want to really want to try to get the whole page sort of covered here. Drop in a little bit more purple. And we're going to do this several times until our page gets nice and dark with each layer. So in between, I'm going to use a blow dryer just to speed up the process a little bit. Yeah, just drop the color in. Don't worry about if there's little gaps. We're going to cover it up with several layers. So I'm going to dry this, and then I'll apply the next layer. Okay, so now you should have something that looks kind of like this, with all of your layers on there and your different colors. And now we're going to do the fun part where we're going to actually splash some stars on there. So what you need is a little bit of, if you have any gouache, white gouache or even white acrylic will work fine. You can use any brush. You can even use a toothbrush if you want, which is good for splattering. I like this one because it's got a kind of a wide bristle on it, but you can use even the one you were using before. It should work okay. So get a little bit of white gouache on your brush. You can mix it with some water. You can see I've got a little bit here that I mixed. And then just hold your brush over and tap. And you can see your galaxy really start to come to life. That's it. When you remove the tape, you should have a beautiful galaxy painting. So thanks again for joining me today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed Starboy and the art demo. Feel free to check out my website, jamigigot.com, for some fun activities and some information about my books and my illustration. And have a lovely, lovely day. Bye for now.